let's be honest, nobody really cares about the CW anymore. Last time I watched those shows religiously was, I think, the 2016-2017 seasons. But the last bit of those shows that I watched was first half of season 6 of Flash was okay. Final season of Arrow was beautiful. Such a great farewell season. Brought me to tears many times. And Crisis was a bit underwhelming. But overall, none of them were bad. I enjoyed all of them. But after that, I thought, you know what? I'm going to call it quits. I have no interest in watching any more of these shows. And my thought process was like that for two reasons. One, I saw Crisis on Infinite Earths as the CW Arrowverse's, endgame. That being the end of one chapter, the beginning of a less interesting one. Mainly because, the main hero dies, everybody lives happily ever after, yada yada yada, whatever. And the other reason being CW has a really bad track record when it comes to quality control. What I mean by that is episodically, man, the quality of the shows, episode by episode, are just so up and down, and I don't really have the time to commit to a 23 episode okay season of a show. So yeah, I just kind of was like, I'm not interested. I'm gonna stop watching these. But there was one show that at first I had zero interest in, but after watching the trailer, I was a bit impressed. That trailer was for Superman and Lois. And I don't know, it just looked so different from anything else CW was doing. And it looked really nice and everything. And I was like, you know what? When the pilot comes out, when it premieres, I may give it a watch. And guess what? It came out and I gave it a watch. And I was thoroughly impressed with it from beginning to end. For those of you who don't know, Superman and Lois are based off of the DC characters, Superman and Lois, created by the CW and the same people who made all the other Arrowverse shows. It even takes place in the same universe to an extent, more on that later. And where other shows in the past, like Dean Cain's Clark and Lois show, and even later seasons of Smallville, would focus on only the Clark and Lois relationship, this show brings a new layer to the Superman mythos by introducing his two sons. And with that brings this new family dynamic that I think really puts the show on a whole new level, both story-wise, creative-wise, and it really is the strong point of the show that really helps it shine. I guess to keep this video fairly organized, I'll talk about some of the more positive things, the things I really loved about the show. And the first thing I want to talk about is the production quality of the show, because my God, is this show so beautiful to look at. It's so pleasing to the eyes. I don't know who is their DP, who's editing this, or what, or who at CW is finally sober enough to give these shows a proper superhero show budget, but man, this show is so beautiful. Genuinely, it's like watching a movie. And I can't say that about any of the other CW shows. Not even at their best seasons do they look as good as this pilot does. The CGI, the color grading, the lighting, the camera movements, it all looks so cinematic. This is some top-notch stuff. Alright, enough of that. Let's talk about the characters. Starting off with the main man himself, Superman. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Superman. The fact that he's this all-powerful superhero makes him, to me, really hard to relate to, unlike a Batman or a Spider-Man type character. There are very few versions of Superman where I've genuinely felt for the character. Man of Steel to a certain extent, but not really. But man, Tyler Hoechlin does a fantastic job bringing this character to life and brings such a heartfelt and human performance out of him. Like I mentioned earlier, Superman is all-powerful. He's the greatest superhero ever. He's strong, he's fast, he has laser vision. He can literally save anyone and can literally do anything. And yes, this show does have an antagonist for him to fight, but it doesn't focus on that. It instead focuses on the more emotional and mental side of Superman, the side that he can't fix with his fist. The show heavily focuses on his relationship with his family. The fact that, yes, Superman has this responsibility to the world to keep it safe, but Clark Kent has a responsibility to his kids, to his wife. He needs to be there just as much as Superman needs to be there for the world. And so we see this balancing act in Superman that I don't think has been portrayed very well in other forms and other versions of Superman. Not only that, this is a very mature Superman. He's been doing this for a while now, and he is very self aware of his situation. He knows that he's feeling in some parts of his life and can do better in others. And it's that dichotomy of a character who is extremely self aware and knows his situation and knows his limits and knows that he can basically do anything and yet can't at the same time. It's that kind of dichotomy, that kind of character trait that levels out Superman and really grounds him emotionally in a way that I care for him now more than ever. I want to see him fix his relationship with his kids, to see that relationship grow and thrive. I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. I want to see him thrive. And that's admittedly something I've never really thought about or cared about with any other version before. It's that aspect of humanity that Tyler Hoechlin really grabs onto and shines a light on through his performance. He nails every aspect of Superman. When he's Superman, you can tell that he's confident, he's cool, calm, and he's powerful, and he's ready to get the job done. He's ready to save the world. But when he's Clark Kent, he's this down-to-earth father. He's this guy who's just trying to do best and not disappoint anyone. All around, great character and great performance. Next, let's talk about Lois Lane. And Bitsy Tulloch does such a fantastic job bringing this character to life and has made me love the character of Lois Lane for the first time in any sort of media. Nothing against, Amy Adams in those movies, but she's not written well enough for me to like. This version, though, is overall awesome. I don't know, Lois Lane is such a nice compliment to Clark Kent as this husband-wife dynamic, Anytime Clark has that the weight of the world is on my shoulders mentality, Lois Lane brings him right back to ground level, and it's so loving and supportive and awesome to watch. Yeah, Bitsy Tulloch just brings an amazing performance to an amazing character. And anytime Lois Lane and Clark Kent are on screen together, their chemistry is off the charts. I believe that they're a real, married couple, that they've been married for a very long time, and their performance, I believe and never doubt for a second. And finally, let's talk about their kids. Clark and Lois's teenage sons, Jonathan and Jordan Kent. Both are fantastic characters played by some fantastic actors. I love how the characters are so different, you know what I mean? Jonathan is the more confident, go-get-'em type of guy, while Jordan is the more introverted, to himself type person. Yet despite these differences, they both act and feel like brothers still. The way they work together, the way they give each other a hard time, they interact. It all feels believable that they are brothers. And I think out of the two brothers, my favorite was, Jordan. I just like how not as clean or cookie cutter he is because of some of the more personal issues that he has. And I think because of that, I felt and related to his character on a much more personal level. I was rooting for his character a lot more. I was more intrigued, more interested, and am more looking forward to how his character develops than I am Jonathan. Not that I don't think he's a bad character. It's just personal preference, I guess. And like I mentioned before, the family aspect is where the show really shines. And when all four of them are on screen together as a family unit, that's where this show really shines. All their performances, all of them together, make for this very believable family unit that I'm rooting for the entire time. It's really all four of them together that really help push this show forward and what keeps me coming back, because I'm intrigued in them and all of them, not just individuals, but also as a family. Alright, we're going into spoiler territory. There'll be a time code somewhere for you to jump ahead to back to non-spoilers. I think both the kids are going to have powers. They're either both going to have same equal amount of Superman powers, or they're going to be split in half. One kid has, laser vision, the other kid has super speed, something like that. I'd put money on maybe there being like a supervillain storyline for Jordan Kent. I don't know, that scene where he's talking about how when he used the heat vision, he felt control, which is super interesting considering his whole character, he has a hard time controlling his emotions and his thoughts. So the fact that when he uses these powers, he feels some sense of control can be steered in a number of ways, either good or bad. So either way, it'll be interesting to see. I guess when it comes to the villain, to that guy, I don't really know at all what that guy's all about. Considering this is already in the Arrowverse, there's already a Lex Luthor. So unless that guy is like a long-lost relative or maybe a relative from the distant future, or even maybe just a different alien who took on the name Luthor. I don't know, genuinely don't know, but his fight scene with Superman was really good and really cool to watch. If I had any hopes for the show, one, I hope the quality of the show stays up. I hope they can keep it going because it's so nice to see, so refreshing to see. I hope Lois Lane doesn't get annoying because the last thing we need is another Felicity, another Iris. So I hope they keep writing her well. I hope the kids don't get annoying. It would be really cool to see John Diggle as Green Lantern show up. David Paul Ramsey, he's directing an episode of this show later on in their season. I think John Diggle lives in Metropolis now, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that would be really cool to see him as Green Lantern just up here. That would be really sweet. I was really worried at first whenever the show was announced, mainly because Supergirl. That show, the same character, made by the same people, and man, that show is not pretty to look at. Really, it's really hard to watch, and so the fact that this show turned out as good as it did is really awesome and refreshing to see. So yeah, next time you probably hear me talk about this show, unless something really crazy happens, will probably be its season finale or series finale. They haven't greenlit a second season, so you never know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me in the comment section below what you thought of the show. And yeah, that pretty much does it. Thank you guys for watching. And that is all, folks. Yeah, I'm not going to end the videos like that anymore. I'm just going to say bye now. Take care.